Hello, welcome. Today is just a little bit different. I'm testing out some new different things, and I'm doing streaming to Twitch as well as streaming to YouTube and things like that. And I thought I'd do something completely unrelated to music, and I am going to be a life coach today. So if you've got genuine life problems or even made up life problems, I'm going to attempt to answer them with a series of sarcasm and unhelpful remarks. So this is not necessarily to do with music, but if you've got any life problems or anything like that you'd like to share with the group, I think the phrase is an agony aunt. Well, I can be an agony aunt for you. So if you have anything you want to share with me and the group, please do so, and I will give you the best advice that I can. So this is my first live stream. Well, welcome. I don't know how well this is going to go. It's just a concept thing. Yeah. But if somebody start us off with a problem or something like that. Why is my butt turning pink, says the red ape 27. Probably because, well, now I need to think of something that's going to be appropriate to say for an audience of an unknown age group. Your bottom is turning pink. I would suggest that it is time you stopped spending time with that uncle of yours and instead did something wholesome with your life. Wiping too hard? Yes, there is nothing worse than when you're going to the toilet and you get in touch with your inner self in a way that you weren't expecting. James Osterland says, I'm addicted to Fortnite, can you help me? When you have a big problem like that, it's important to chop it up into small segments. Take each day by a time, take each day one at a time, and then hopefully you might get to the point where you can handle with 2 weeks at once. Mason Guy, I really struggle with hitting the high notes on the tuba. What do I do? Talk to somebody who's interested in music, which isn't me. Did you swap your toilet paper with sandpaper? Absolutely. In fact, I recommend it, quite frankly. Toilet paper is just so inefficient and ineffective. You really need to use something strong like sandpaper to ensure that you get the deep down cleansing that you just can't get with anything else. Pastor, I can't stop playing Fortnite. I'm not sure why you're calling me Pastor. Should I go for something or other or Marlboro? I don't know what those things are. You might have to be a little bit more elaborate. Got to scrape it all out? Absolutely. If your bathroom etiquette does not include a good scraping with some sort of rod or spoon, then there's something going wrong. How do you find wood in Minecraft? I'm not too sure. I'm not a huge Minecraft aficionado, unfortunately. Robert E.O. Speedwagon dies in 1952 of a heart attack at the age of 89. As a lifelong bachelor, he leaves no family behind. After his death, the Speedwagon Foundation is dedicated to biochemical science and technology and assists the Joestar family through. I have no idea what you're talking about. That just seems nonsense. Lance Q, can I major in lesbian dance theory if I identify as a helicopter? There's a person, what's the guy's name? Ben Shapiro. I've seen a couple of his videos on YouTube. Lesbian dance theory is an important subject for any modern man to be able to do. So I think it's a very good idea. Should I swap my toilet paper with sandpaper? Yes. You want to just be careful. Start with something that isn't too coarse, like 400 grit, and then gently work down to something more coarse. I personally use a 60 grit toilet paper just to ensure that even my spine is clean after using the bathroom. What do I think about July the 15th? It's probably my favorite day of the year. What is my opinion on Christopher Bill's trombone loops? Christopher Bill is an incredibly talented trombonist, and I'd love to meet him one day. He's genuinely talented. Should I practice my instrument? No. The way to become a brilliant musician is through neglect and abandonment of your instrument. This is particularly true if it's an expensive, unusual instrument. Only chumps who wish to be tryhards will actually practice. It's sort of like this big industry lie that you need to practice. Rubbish. How do I get Ebola? I would have thought you already have, given by your name. I get more subscribers and YouTube. You get lots of YouTube by popping into your local internet. The other day I went to my local internet, spent some time in my local Google as well, and I was able to get some more YouTube. Which is good because I don't have my own YouTube here at home, so I have to get packages of YouTube that I can just sort of have after dinner as sort of like an after dinner mint or something. A person asks, literally, should I trade my trombone for a recorder? No, you should trade your trombone for a woodwind instrument. A recorder is just a toy, but if you traded your trombone for something like a clarinet or something, you'd be doing very, very well indeed. Bruh, my name is Jacob and I am a white American. Congratulations. To be a white American, all you need to do is be born as a white person in America. It's not much of an achievement. Myself, however, I am a round white New Zealander, and that takes a lot more effort. David Rice asks, will tight underwear help with high notes? Not only tight underwear, but sitting on something sharp, potentially a stapler. The good thing with the stapler is that if you jog up and down a couple of times, you will be able to reuse the effort that it takes, or reuse the resource that you've got in getting more and more high notes. Tight underwear will sort of loosen itself as the hems fray, but sitting on a stapler and just sort of bouncing up and down is the way to get repeated high notes. How many years didn't I go to college? Nearly all of them. Can you destroy your saxophone? It's a particularly ugly sounding instrument. Yes, I could destroy my saxophone. I could, yep. Will hitting my instrument with a hammer to get better? I'm loving the grammar and obvious examples of high intellect in the questions that are coming through and the way that they are written and formatted. Hitting your instrument with a hammer is something that's very much like a younger child. It only does them good. The more frequent, the better. I stuck a fork in my wall outlet and played an instant triple high C. You need to be careful with that because sometimes when you stick a fork into a wall outlet or a key tester, as I call them, you may be able to play a triple high C. At other times you will just merely inconvenience everyone around you as your excretions squirt all over the room and somebody else has to clean them up. What's my favourite mouthpiece side for jazz lead trombone pieces? If you're playing a lead part in jazz, either as a trombone or trumpet, the real way to do it is to not use a mouthpiece at all. Take that mouthpiece out and play straight into the lead pipe. It'll do wonders for your sound and lips. If I put shoe in tuba bad, no. That's actually a question. If put shoe in tuba bad, no. It sounds like something that's been badly translated from Chinese. Hey, would you say that a sophomore junior trombone player attempting bluebells is a bluebells is a virtuoso, at least for their age? Look, I can attempt many things. I can attempt gymnastics, I could attempt to run a marathon, and simply by attempting something does not make me a virtuoso, an athletic, or anything like that. Being able to actually do it helps, but just attempting something can either be an intelligent decision or stupid. James Osterland says, I'm on the toilet right now. How do I get it all out? With loud vocal assistance. Usually, if you imagine that your voice can sort of assist with what you're trying to do, and so go, And that will really help. Not only that, it'll make you feel good, particularly if there are people around in the other rooms around you that don't know what's going on. My favorite YouTuber, oh, where's that question gone? No, that's lost my page. Somebody is saying about whether they should unsubscribe or not. Yeah, please do. My family bullies me for listening to classic music. Should I just die or should I convert to mumble rapism? I don't know what that is. But bullying is quite a severe issue. And I've got two ways to deal with bullies. The first way to deal with bullies is to find somebody weaker than yourself and put your bullies onto that person. So you say, well, don't bully me, bully this guy, he's even lamer than me. That's the first way to deal with bullying. The second way to deal with bullying is to, depending on the sort of bullying, so if it's like you're getting punched and beaten up, then just look at them and say, don't stop, daddy. That will really make them stop. Or you could also say, please don't do that, you'll give me an erection. That's another way of getting bullies to stop, because it tends to make them sort of second guess what they're trying to achieve by bullying you in the first place. There's a French horn player at my school, should I bully her? No, they probably get a hard enough time, and the fact that they have been prepared to play French horn publicly means that there's very little that you could say that will actually go through their thick skin. Do I enjoy smaller mouthpieces on the tenor trombones? Do I enjoy smaller mouthpieces? Preferably, the nirvana is to not use a mouthpiece at all. So that's just going to be something or other. That's just, you know, what it is. Oh wait, you're probably not in New Zealand. That was probably building on from a previous comment, but yes, I am in New Zealand. How to play Gucci Gang on recorder? I don't know what that is. What grit sandpaper should I use for toilet paper? If you're not familiar with this, then start at 400 grit and gently work your way down to about 60 grit. You'll find that it really sort of unclogs pretty much everything in that area. If you've got the ability to use a belt sander or something as sort of part of your normal toileting routine, then that will also help. I'm better than you at trombone. Yes, but your mum has said that I am much better than you at being a child. Okay, bye guys, I'm going to have a poo. Thank you for sharing. How many trombones do I have? Several. What colour violin should I get? I was thinking pink or blue. The sort of violins that I prefer are the ones that are sort of gently charred in the flames of Mount Doom or Orage Ruin, because then they have sort of at least half achieved their point in life. What happens when the daddy trumpet and the mummy trumpet have intercourse? This is a child trumpet, a little trumpet that will one day grow to be a big grown-up trumpet and able to have a family of its own, unless it becomes a woodwind player, and then it'll just be a disappointment to everyone. What's my take on the French horn? I've never yet taken a French horn. The shape is a little bit weird, but I'd much rather to give when I see a French horn person or a French horn player. Violins are gay. Violins are actually asexual, so they have no gender preferences. They're sort of leading the charge on the modern gender fluid sort of thing. And so they're actually a very modern sort of an instrument in that particular regard. I like your face, sir. Can I eat you? One of my very first live streams ended with a person saying, show me your nips. So there are some strange people in the world. I killed my virtual wife in a game. Will I go to jail? Yes, you will, virtually. I identify as a violin. You also identify as a disappointment. If I use my hand as a mouthpiece and cup it around the lead pipe, will it work well on a trombone, especially the Schiller crapophone? If you use your hand as a mouthpiece, you need to be careful which hand that you use it for. Most people have one hand that is cleaner than the others. So depending on which hand that is and which hand you want to play trombone with, it's either a brilliant idea or a rather bad idea. Do a back of the head reveal. You want to see the back of my head? The back of my head is actually something that has been written about by scholars and prophets for the years go by. Some people don't actually believe that I have a back to my head. James Osterland, how do you grow a nice beard like yours? It's actually a mask that I'm wearing. I'm actually clean shaven, but there's sort of some trickery that makes it look as though I have facial hair. I'm not able to grow a beard, largely because I haven't gone through puberty. Would I kiss Joseph Alessi? Sorry, I have standards. I broke my phone with my massive B-flat tuba. What do I do? What you absolutely need to do is find somebody on the internet who is going to be helpful and share your conundrum with them. Timothy Trice, what is baby oil made from? Babies. They get the babies that don't survive or were just going to be disappointments to their parents, put them in a blender and make oil out of them. It's quite disgusting, but it is something that you need to know the truth about. Otherwise, yeah, it's just sad if you don't know the truth about it. A person, I keep ignoring their questions. Should I ask better questions? I don't ignore questions, I just don't see them because I'm trying to look at my camera when I answer you guys, which is up there, whereas the comments are down there. So I just sort of read one and then look at the camera. So it's not deliberate. I ordered a trumpet, but it came in B sharp. What do I do? You call it C. There's no such thing as a B sharp. You're just trying to be an idiot. My valve on my trumpet keeps sticking down ever after I put lube on it. Depends what sort of lube you're using. Some lube gets sticky after you use it for a while. Other forms of lubricant does a really good job. Don't have anything too clever to say that. What room do I keep all my instruments in? I keep them in several rooms. I have this room here, which is my garage. It's called a garage because it's supposed to have a car in it, yet it doesn't. I also have a storage unit. Yes. Joseph Donaldson says, I'm as old as time, but as young as a baby. What do I do? I don't really have a clever answer for that one. You're as old as time, but as young. Is that like you've got a child inside you that's trying to escape, or you've been inside a... No, I don't know. Is the earth dick-shaped if it's not flat? No, the earth is actually round, but it's like not the way that people perceive it. It's round, but instead of everyone being on the outside of the roundness, we're actually all on the inside of the roundness. So it looks as though we don't sort of understand and see very well, because when we look out to space, we're actually looking to the inside of the sphere that we are in. No one's really understood that so far. Am I allowed to have a bowler? Yes. Please, I recommend you, if you've got any sort of serious illness such as Ebola, immediately go on Tinder and or Grindr, depending on your preferences or inclinations, and share the love. Can I do the Remington Advanced Flexibility exercise? I don't think my spinal surgeon would approve of me doing any sort of flexibility exercises this side of my surgery. Do you have stupid? Yes, I have many stupid in my collection. What's the most ridiculous fact that you know? I have a wealth of useless, I have a wealth of very useless, pointless facts, but I don't seem to be able to recall them. They just sort of pop into my head at random situations. So I don't have I can't rattle 10 stupid facts off. What surgery did you have? I've had 2 surgeries on my spine. I'm going to have more spinal surgery on Wednesday. Do I have a chimbasso in my collection? No, but I really want one. This is sort of turning into sort of other questions. Somebody give me life problems to solve. Things like that. Somebody's getting muscle spasms. Depending on which muscles are spasming, that can either be a great thing or an awful thing. Now, whilst I'm doing this, I'm also trying to stream to Twitch as well. I'm not sure whether anyone's seeing me on Twitch or anything. Certainly, most of my viewers go through YouTube or whatever. But yeah. Lance Q says, I don't want to join the Navy. If you're a straight person, then trying to join the Navy is naturally quite a worrying thing. So I'd have to sort of find out a little bit more from you why you're expected to join the Navy. Yeah, it can be quite troublesome for straight people trying to join the Navy. Somebody has an addiction, how do I cut down or stop? It depends what the addiction is. Some addictions like marijuana and pedophilia shouldn't be indulged. Other addictions are perfectly great, like exercise or veganism. I'm addicted to veganism myself, so it can be a good thing. Do I know my relative or exact IQ? Many years ago, I went to do the Mensa entrance exam, and I missed out by like 1 point. So I'm like clever man, but I don't know. How do I get semen out of my mouthpiece? Another Navy related question. It must be a massive mouthpiece that you've got to be able to fit an entire seaman in it. What I'd be very interested to know is whether he was just an able seaman or whether they were just an ordinary seaman. Be quite interesting. How do you get over an addiction to pedophilia? You could grow out of it, is one way of doing it. If you actually have an addiction to pedophilia, then frankly I would recommend that you do something like an aged care work. No, that's going to make you even more addicted to young people. I don't know. I don't have a question. I don't have an answer for that is in any way appropriate. If I buy you McDonald's, will you give me a hug? No, I've never been to McDonald's in my life, and I have no intention of starting. Trent, I'm vegan, 5 months strong. You can't do a veganism for 5 months and then be strong at the end of it. So I don't know quite how that works, but I suspect what you're saying is that you've been a vegan for 5 months and you're still not withered entirely. My sisters want to play violin. Should I disown her? No, let them play violin, but then use that as a way to sort of incite their doom. And what I mean by that is that you could use the violin as a trap. They're actually thinking that they're playing a violin, but inside you've actually hidden several parts of a trumpet. That makes the violin appear haunted and rattly, and then they'll want to give up and play something really else. Austin Clark, how do I get over my breakup from a year ago? What I would suggest you do is go to a doctor, get them to stitch you back together again. You could even go under the pseudonym of Humpty Dumpty if you really wanted to. Is there any sort of specific part of you that has broken up? Please explain. A person can't focus on schoolwork. Schoolwork is something you don't really need to focus on. There's a lot of people that are like, oh, make a lot of effort in school, it'll affect your whole future. It's a load of rubbish. A load of rubbish. Do what school is best spent preparing for what you want to do in the rest of your life. In the case of me, I wanted to be a disappointment to my family, so I spent all of my time at school practicing for that. And I'm glad to say that I have achieved every goal that I have set myself as a consequence of that. Michael Lander has 7 nipples. Is this normal? Yes, if you are a female pig. How do I watch a live stream? No idea. Trent, the meme master dabs. I understand 3 of those words. Do I play jazz? No, I don't. Why does my tuba look like a piano? Probably because some large opera singer leant against it and bent it. That's why pianos have that big sort of bite taken out of them. Trent, please dab for us. I don't know what that means. How important is play in living a healthy and fulfilling life? How important is play in living? Do you mean like operatic productions and things? In which case, no, I don't think they're important at all, unless you're very concerned about things like small theatre productions and some of the inappropriate things that thespians get up to. I want to motivate you, Tum Tum. Ironically asked by a person called Harvard University. I say that's ironic because Harvard University actually asked me to come in and do a study with them to try and work out what is in it in my genetics that makes me one of the most attractive people alive. So perhaps if I'd actually agreed to go ahead with their study, you would have had the opportunity to motivate my Tum Tum. Am I a calculus guru? Yes. Yes, I can count to 10 and even higher. I have no idea what that means. Are traps gay? I don't understand that. How do I comment? Don't understand that. I need to read a book. What do I do? The thing about reading a book is that you need to work out which way you're going to read it. Are you going to read it right to left or left to right? Some people find that once they've looked at one page for a certain amount of time, they then get bored. The key and the hardest part about learning to read a book is that once the page that you're on is sort of boring you, you can then turn to another page and start that all over again. It can be a bit boring having to just start each page anew when you're finished with the last one, but you know, that's what some people are attracted to about reading a book. Doesn't interest me, interests some of them. Am I a comedian? No. No, there is nothing about my life that is funny in any way other than the rash, but my doctor and I are working on that privately, and I wasn't going to bring that up. What's the best path to find truth? Science, math, art, philosophy, or something else? Somebody already has answered that question. It's lesbian dance theory. I think Ben Shapiro is really on the right course when he talks about lesbian dance theory, because it just opens up your eyes to a world of the unknown. How many genders are there? There are 3 genders. There is male, there is female, there are disappointments. It's sort of like a blanket crate for anyone that is not normal. What is my blood type? My blood type is quite unique in that it is red, and they tried to actually work out whether it's type A, B, O, or anything like that, and they gave up because it's got a strange smell about it. Trent, why do piccolo trumpets use trumpet mouthpieces instead of their own? Why hasn't anyone made a piccolo trumpet mouthpiece? You can get specific piccolo trumpet mouthpieces. As for the size of the shank, I think it's just because they're relatively low volume items, so it's just easier to use the existing tooling rather than anything else. How would you define genius? I wouldn't define genius. It's sort of a thing that you know when a genius walks in. You just know because they'll tell you frequently, every 5 minutes, that they're a genius. It's sort of like a vegetarian, except that's like the opposite end of the intelligence spectrum. A genius will always tell you because they're a genius. A vegetarian or a vegan indeed will also tell you because they're a vegan. And you can use that as a scale of very intelligent, very unintelligent. How do you feel about 1 grit sandpaper for your bum? I've never actually come across 1 grit sandpaper. I imagine it's the same thing as just holding a rock and having a rummage. If there are pocket trumpets, why aren't there pocket tubas? There are actually things called pocket tubas, but obviously they don't fit in your pocket. They are usually referred to more widely as travel tubas. Should I eat my cow before it eats me? This is very important. It stares at me plotting. I need help, Trent. If you've got any marital issues, I suggest you find a therapist to help you sort them out. I'd also start by advising that you do not call your partner a cow. They will get offended. Can I lock lips with you? No. That's a bit weird. How can I be non-sarcastic as you? I wouldn't know. Is a tuba a good emergency toilet? No, but the little holes that you get inside a cello where they've got those sort of weird Fs, they make excellent target practice for when you're a man and you need to empty the bladders that you have. Why do people expect a universe full of randomness to be fair? Well, this is quite a theological, this is quite a deep question. People expect a universe to be, well, some people expect a universe to be fair, because they, in their minds, the model of how the world works is such that there is somebody pulling the strings who is going to catch things out and make everything just and fair. The reality is the world is not fair. There is not any sort of organisation that is going to make things fair. Whilst I do believe in God and all that sort of stuff, I don't believe that he spends his time sitting up there trying to make things fair for everyone. If you've got two kids, one could have the hardest life in the world and then suddenly get you leukemia and die at the age of 12, and the other person, through no different value of their own, could live a happy, prosperous life without having to do anything. Life's not fair. I need help. Should I practice the David or bluebells? I don't know what the David is. Your mum gay. Well, there's an insult that we need to just take a minute to recognize the value of. If that is the sort of pinnacle of insults, you mum gay. Oh, sorry, your mum gay. Then I don't think I could recover from that one, frankly. I'm glad he didn't say it about me. Or did he? How do I exterminate the woodwinds in my band so it can be a proper band of only brass? Bora. Get some bora from your local picture frame supplier and just sort of sprinkle them around the woodwind instruments. They'll soon take hold, and even better, if they let them fester for long enough, they'll actually start to delve their way into the heads and brains of the woodwind players, thereby getting rid of not only the instruments but also the players. I got charged $1,000 for a homosexual dance class. Were you studying it, or were you being engaged to it? In which case, if somebody charged you $1,000 to participate in a homosexual dance class, I suspect it may not have been an official course, and that you probably should go down to your local health clinic. What do I do with the dead body I have in my closet? I would suggest, depending on the age of that dead body, that you either put it in somebody else's closet and pretend that you have no knowledge of it, or if it's relatively fresh, then put it in a stew. There's nothing quite as tasty as the loins from a roasted loin from a freshly dead corpse. Say OK Google and see if it sets off my Google Home. OK Google. Hey Siri. Does any of that work? What would you do if somebody stole all of my instruments? I would probably call my insurance company and see what they have to say about it. I'd also provide them with the security camera footage, because I have been broken into in the past many years ago, and now I have security cameras. So I would invite somebody to try. What is the most efficient way to clean the house? Get a pressure washer, start from the inside and work your way out. It might take a little while to dry, but the time that you will save by using a pressure washer on the inside of your house will absolutely save time later. Yob Sizzler says that he has an IQ of 2. Yes, we could actually tell, believe it or not. Again, I congratulate you for your carer to have set up YouTube for me. And it's actually great that you are here, because some of the money that I donate to charity probably paid for the living accommodation that you're enjoying right now. Tips on trombone. There's some stuff that I could say about that, but I'm not going to. Trent, am I a soprano? Yes, I sing the soprano part. There is peanut butter in my pocket. How do I use a potato? Peanut butter and potatoes go together brilliantly. Very much like chalk and sausages. What I prefer to do myself is to chop the potato in half, get a spoon, sort of get out the innards of that, and then put peanut butter in there, squish the two bits both together, dip them in egg yolk, then put some breadcrumbs over the top of them, boil them in, or fry them in a pan, and then throw them into the rubbish and go to McDonald's. Have you ever just take out a loan from the bank to buy fruit snacks? I don't take out a loan from a bank to buy fruit snacks. No, that isn't something I haven't done. But as a recipe for success and financial success, then loans are the sort of things that people absolutely should get, particularly those sort of loans from a loan shark where they advertise the interest as a per week figure as opposed to a per annum figure. That's really the way to get on top of yourself, because you're also going to have lots of extra money lying around, but you're also going to have friends as they will catch up with you every period or so just to have a chat, and that's just really fantastic. If you're even lucky, they might give you a struggle cuddle, which is a really nice thing if you don't have many friends like me. How can sleep easy more? There's not an age limit to those people that can use YouTube, is there? What is the best trumpet to your mum gay by? What's my favorite fascist dictator? Personally, I don't have a list. I understand why some people might have a list of fascist dictators and have them sort of ranked in order. Personally, I don't, though. Yeah. How do I play the brown note? The brown note is, some people think it's this big mythical thing where you play a note and it makes people lose the contents of their bowels. But what you actually need to do to play the brown note is to get something brown. Your choice of substance is entirely up to you. Smear it on your mouthpiece, the rim of your mouthpiece, and then go to play it. That is what's going to help you to play the brown note. I was actually thinking about doing a video on it at some point, but alas, I'm going to be having surgery in a few days, so that's sort of out of the question. What is the best seasoning to put on the dead body in my closet? It depends on which part you're going to have. If you're going to have the loins first, then you're going to want to use plenty of sea salt, a bit of cracked pepper, then depending on your taste, I don't go for chili inside the loins of a dead corpse myself, but some people like chili flakes. If you're doing for something like the rump or the flank, then you probably need to add a little bit of flavour, because the meat from those parts aren't particularly flavoursome. So adding some more, oregano or oregano and various things like that will greatly assist the taste there. Wenn es das Nunstock geht on Schlossmeier ja bejahen das oder die Flippervolt Despot. I don't have a clue what that means, so I can't answer that. I want to learn the piano one time like next year. Do you have recommendations? Why don't you start now? I mean, pianos only take realistically about half an hour to master the basics. The difference between the white keys and the black keys, how to tell whether the lid's open or not. They're the sort of basics, and you can pick that up within about half an hour or so. So you don't have to wait till next year. I accidentally kissed my best friend. What do I do? I think there's only really one thing that you can do once you've kissed your best friend, and that is to take it to the next level. Either by having a full-on relationship with them, because frankly, if you've been a best friend with somebody, you've probably thought about that at some point, or put them in a closet, leave them there, and again, you might have somebody coming around for a struggle snuggle trying to find out where your best friend is. If the universe is finite, what would beyond the edge of the universe be like? So the answer to that question, the answer to the question was, how was there time before the Big Bang, things like that, is that our understanding of matter and substance and time and space and all that, as we are on the earth, is one thing. How the world is and the universe is beyond the scope of our understanding and the measures that we use on the earth is completely different. Physics as it works in on the earth here, and physics as it works outside in the big open realm of a woodwind's mind, completely different. So I don't know what's beyond there. I'm going to assume that it's probably just candy floss, because people that take their space helmets off when they're in space tells me that, or tell us that, I haven't had a conversation with them personally, but tell us that it is quite a sugary sweet taste. I.e. the genitals of dead bodies help. Well, personally, I would prefer that you ate the genitals of a dead body, as I said, with a bit of pepper and sea salt, rather than that you ate the genitals of live people, which could get you in trouble with those people that don't understand what delicacy it is. Should I go to second base if there is a chemistry on the first date? Well, it depends. I personally would rather go back to my place as opposed to going to a baseball pitch, but each to their own. Some people don't have their own home, so if you feel more comfortable on the mound of second base, then absolutely. Can you tell Trevor this is for being a trooper and cleaning all those I have no idea why. Yeah. Is it still pedophilia if you're under 18 too? I don't know. Go to Google. Google.com. Press enter. Type that in. The good thing is actually if you ask many questions about pedophilia to Google, you'll actually get in-person answers from your local police force. So it sort of gives that extra sort of augmented service where you get in-person responses. I noticed that my microphone has been slowly falling down my chest. My best friend slept with my ex-girlfriend. What should I do? Frankly, if they were with your ex-girlfriend overnight and slept, then I'd sort of be a little bit concerned. Personally, if I was with somebody's ex-girlfriend during the night, I probably wouldn't sleep. But then that would only be because I snore so loudly that I would set off. I'd set off the smoke alarm even with the sound of my gentle rumblings. Can I shout out my friend Alexander James Mason, please? Oh, hold on. Alexander James Mason! I hope that helps. Beethoven's symphonies or hot cross buns? There is nothing better than a hot cross bun. So I'd have to say hot cross bun. Is it cold? Yes, it's pretty cold. If I breathe I can see the mist. You guys probably can't though, because I have a massive light. It's like a collapsed sun in front of me right there. Do I know about the lick? No, I don't. What is my job or occupation? Currently, I work in telecommunications as a solutions architect. I design telecommunications solutions. However, work's going through a restructure and they're probably going to make my entire team redundant next week. So the day before I have my surgery will be the day that I find out whether I have a job or not. So that's cool. How many sheep do I own? It's actually a commonly misunderstood thing that you think person from New Zealand, they own sheep, and that's not true. I don't own her. She is my mistress, and I'm very much owned by her. So it's sort of the pet relationship is around the other way to what most people think. The cows, on the other hand, I have many cows. A saxophone in my band wore a fursuit to a practice. What should I do? It was probably just a cosplay. He was probably imagining that he was one of those sort of things that you shove down the inside of saxophones to keep them dry. Personally, it's a bit of an obscure costume, but you know, he may have wanted to do that. How do I make cinnamon rolls with string, a potato, and a piece of cheese? Well, silly, you can't. But if you've got a potato and a piece of cheese, then that is enough to disappoint many, many people. I would suggest that even Gordon Ramsay would struggle to make something attractive out of string, potato, and a piece of cheese. Am I a hobbit? Yes, I am a hobbit. I have very furry feet. But the one skill I don't have from hobbits is that I can't really disappear without notice. Hobbits apparently have got the ability to make no sounds when they move, and also make their voices sound like birds, depending on whether you listen to what King Theoden of of Rohan says when he talks about the Holbitlan. However, I don't have the ability to move without making a sound because I do a lot of grunts when I move. Have I met Bilbo Baggins? No, I haven't. He's actually passed away a number of years ago over the seas to Westerness, I think it is, or whatever. How can we shut up the saxophone section? They sound horrible in our band. Most players can't play a single note. Do we throw our mouthpieces at them? No, because if you throw a mouthpiece at a saxophone player, they'll probably pick it up and throw it at you. What you need to do is go for the psychological warfare. Just simply ask them, oh, did you see your dad on Father's Day? And because they won't know who their dad is, then they'll all get upset, and they'll sort of help them be quiet for a little period of time. Should I continue my euphonium career even if I'm in America? I want to have a successful career, but I feel it won't work out. Euphonium career are two words that don't really go well together, such as like a proud checkout worker. The things that don't really go together, or a high achieving clarinetist, that just don't make sense. Euphonium and career not really going well together. So I would suggest that you do something worthwhile with your life. Do I know Gandalf? Some people actually believe that I am Gandalf. Gandalf the Brown before he got elevated to Gandalf the Grey. Yes. If we kill a saxophone player, is it illegal? No. Are you a slide slinging slasher? I don't know what that means. I have heard of this new method of creating a fire using a violin and a match. Do you recommend this as a reliable survival method? No, I prefer to survive by not living in a country that has nuclear weapons. That's my preferred survival technique. I also live in a country that doesn't publicly call Kim Jong-un an idiot and a small space boy, or whatever they actually say. Am I actually 3 Kiwis stacked on top of each other in a trench coat? No, but I am 3 Kiwis stacked on top of each other in a lovely sort of mustard yellow jersey thing. Can you say you shall not pass? No. If you stab somebody who is already dead because you want to kill them but don't want to be responsible for their death, is it still illegal? I think doing anything to defile the dead is probably frowned upon. I don't know if it's especially illegal. I mean, in my experience, they did very much frown upon me, but they said because of the person in question that it was perfectly understandable, and in fact, they then joined in. Is it cold where I am? Yes. Yes, the coldness that radiates from my heart makes the rest of my body cold. It's also very windy at the moment. We're getting a new band director. What do if he plays the woodwinds? If he plays the woodwinds, or he has a case of the woodwinds, then I'd send him down to his local doctor. They'll probably give him a cream. It takes about 6 weeks to clear up, and if they don't continue taking or rubbing the cream on for the entire 6 weeks, then it's probably going to have a relapse of the woodwinds. So you're going to want to get that sorted out. What other tourist attractions would you recommend going to in New Zealand except the pyramids of Giza? Pop into, I can't remember where it is, but they've got the Statue of Liberty, they've got the Leaning Tower of Pisa, and the Arc de Triomphe. I think it's somewhere, it's just out of Wellington anyway. They're really good things to go and see. I'm sort of getting a little bit bored now. So does anyone have any sort of life coaching questions or things like that? Some actual problems that I can give unhelpful advice to? That would be great. Should I just start burning the woodwind instruments in my hand and finally make them useful for heat? I'd put them down first before you burn them. unless you've played woodwind instruments with your hand, in which case you need to probably burn your hand too. Do you know how to lift some weights if you were a mouse? I never had to worry about lifting weights when I was a mouse. Onions have layers. Will you be my dad? Onions have layers. Ogres are like onions. We've got layers, donkey. What do I do when my crush has a girlfriend? Well, you've sort of answered that yourself. If your crush has got a girlfriend, then crush them. If they're not crushed yet and they still live, then you know you haven't crushed hard enough. It's not. Girls are very much, or boys or whatever, are very much. Deep down, they really appreciate the sort of feudal effort that goes into by conquering their lovers. So throw down the gauntlet, challenge them to a fight. Anything, spears, swords, knives, anything like that. And if you beat their lover or anything like that, then they're naturally, in fact, I think it's written in law that they have to then be attracted to you. So that's my advice. My definition of leadership is telling people what to do, sitting in an office all day, writing out emails, never listening to advice that you have been given, and then blame all of those people that report to you for their failings. How do you cook food? You take that out of its plastic wrapper, put it in a microwave, forget it's there, order pizza, have the pizza delivered, and then empty the microwave the day before the rubbish delivery people come, put it on the side of the road. What did you buy when I was a little Indian girl? When I was a little Indian girl, I had to buying those little red dots that you stick on your forehead. They'd keep falling off in the shower. It's really quite a faff with your beauty routine to get the sort of pillowcase that they put over the head and then get those red dots. I tend to sweat a bit, and it's particularly in summer when it's really hot and they keep falling off. And then my dad would be unhappy with me, so I had to keep putting them on. It was a real problem. That's why I stopped being an Indian person and identified as a white male, just largely to make my life easier. How many cans can a can if a can? Don't know. Should I order pizza even though it's 2 a.m.? No. I mean, you have to be kind to other people. People that sell pizza 24 hours a day, they're not actually awake 24 hours a day. And if it's 2 a.m. where you live and you're going to order a pizza, they're going to have to get up, they're going to have to cook it for you and then deliver it. It's really inconsiderate. I don't think that at all. Am I transgender? Yes. Every morning I choose which gender I am going to identify as. It just so happens that every day I have chosen the same gender, and that is male. For those who needed to explain, but I absolutely reserve the right to change which gender I identify as, particularly if I ever wanted to do sporting events, because I find that if I identify as a woman and compete as a woman, I tend to do better than if I stay as a man. So absolutely, transgenderism is probably one of the best things that's happened to my sporting career. Do I like Australia? I sort of like them as sort of like a person likes a pet. You know that they're just a pet. You know that you have to feed them, you have to look after them because they couldn't fend for themselves. And that's the sort of feelings that I have towards Australia and Australians. Okay, that's probably going to do enough for tonight. If you're actually interested in me doing more of these sort of stupid videos as opposed to music ones, then let me know. And I might do them again. This is just sort of an idea. I'm also testing out to streaming to Twitch. This tells me that I have 0 viewers on my Twitch stream, so that was probably a bit pointless, but I didn't advertise it either, so I don't know. But yeah, so serious question. I'm having surgery next week, so on my back, so if you do prayers, that would be appreciated. If you don't do prayers, then kind thoughts would be appreciated. Setting your Facebook picture and setting your Facebook picture as an image of me with some sort of important sort of motivational words on it. That also really helps my surgeons to know that I'm worth saving. So that would be useful as well. So yeah, anything like that would be great. If you're burdened with money, then supporting me on Patreon really helps as well, because the software that I use to stream is exorbitantly expensive, as well as everything else in my life. But yeah, otherwise, thanks, great, and I might do this again soon. Yeah, good night.